So I changed my mind about what I would do in the future because coming from a poor family, I was thinking, oh, I would go to an international trading company and earn a lot of money for my family to support my parents. But then I decided, oh, I would like to study literature, whatever the cost. So I went on to study literature. 我决定开始念文学，然后在我大三、大四那2年，Mr. Shafer 回英国，他回去进修，所以我没有上到他的课。可是我留下来当助教，因为我那时候是 Dr. Bush， 他有一个人文研究中心，我当他的研究助理，所以我没有在外文系当助教，因为我不喜欢做行政工作。可是 Mr. Shafer 回来当系主任，我常常过来跟他聊天，我常常跟他开玩笑，他也无所谓。有一次我跟他胡说八道，我说：“嘿，你那个 middle name 那个 N 是不是拿破仑？”他说：“哦，当然不是，拿破仑那么矮，我这么高。”所以他一点都不在乎，所以就是我跟他的交情，他在这样的这种胡说八道里面就建立起来。我知道他不是一个可怕的老师。Mr. Chipper went back to England to study during my junior year and senior year, and so I didn't get to study any more courses with him. But after I graduated, I served as a research assistant with Dr. Bush, and he came back to be the department chair. And so I often came back to the chair to chat with him. And I even talked nonsense with him, and he allowed me to do it. So one day I asked him and said, "What does that N in your middle name represent? Must be Napoleon." He said, "Of course not. Napoleon is so short and so tall." So that actually brought us together very close. And then, after the year of my assistant work, I got a scholarship from the U.S. federal grant to study in Hawaii, and I was to study British American literature. And he said, "Oh, okay, you got this federal grant, so you're supposed to come back to work in Taiwan." I said, "Yes." And so he said, "Would you come back to the department to teach?" I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Most of our graduates went to the States to study. They didn't come back. No one came back. And because you have to come back, so I would like you to come back to the department to teach." I said, "Sure, if you wanted me." And so I came back in 1973. 我在当完助教之后，就是拿到美国国务院的一个奖学金，可以到夏威夷去念书。那我决定一定要念文学，所以他知道我要这是给工会美国工会奖学金，我应该要回来。所以他就问我说：“你会回来吗？”我说：“会啊。”他说：“那你要不要考虑回到西向来教书呢？”我说：“你要我吗？”他说：“当然了，我那么多毕业生去了什么Madison， 去了 Columbia， 去了 Princeton 都没回来。你要回来对不对？”我说：“对。”好，那你要不要考虑回来教书？我说好。So in 1973 I came back, and it was before the commencement of that year. And I went to see him. I said, "Hello, I'm back." And so he said, "Okay, sit down. Now, which courses should we offer you to teach?" So I was hired like that. Never had to look for a job. 所以我1973年我回来，在毕业典礼之前，所以我就去找他，我说：“Mr. Chipper 回来了。”他说：“好，坐下来，我们来看看，我们可以让你教些什么课。”所以很多人都说：“哎，你们东华外系不聘中国人的。”哎，他聘我啦，他没有说不聘中国，他只是说我们的学生，他信任他的学生，他说我很怕骗 中国人，因为万一拼不好赶不走，所以他觉得他可以相信自己的学生，所以他就跟我回来了。然后他就说：“哦，我们有个夜间部，我们开始夜间部了，你可不可以在夜间部去教你？”我说：“好啊。”他说：“那好，我们教那个Severe Western Literature 这门课，希望去待的。”哦，这么重的课，没关系啊，你可以啦。就是他教我那门课，他要我教这门课。然后他说一句很重要的话，我们不会把夜间部学生当夜间部的学生看，我们要把他们跟夜间部学生一样看待。所以我就知道说，他爱护学生是真的，就是我们受进来的学生，我们要把他教到最好的程度。所以我就教了夜间部，所以我很认真的教，然后很凶很严格，所以夜间部的学生会很丽丽，他们当时都知道说我非常非常严格，因为我的老师交代我，必须把他们当日间部学一样看待，不可以有区别待遇。So Mr. Schiffer wanted me to teach one course in the night school. And one important thing was that he wanted me to teach Soviet of Western literature. That was the course he taught me. And now he wanted his students to teach that course. And one important message from him was that treat them as equally as the daytime school students. So I obeyed. I treated them very severely. Then, by the end of the third year of my teaching here as an instructor, he told me, he said, "Look, you are eligible to apply for promotion, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to go to get that PhD and come back again." I said, "Sure." So that's when I went to the States and I went for that PhD. And when I applied for that, of course, his letter of recommendation pushed me into the department, a very good one. And I studied comparative literature. It was still literature. 就是到我在这边当讲师第3年的时候，他就说：“这个照现在规定，你可以申请升本，可是我不希望你这样升本，我希望你去念一个博士回来。”我说当然，我也很喜欢这样做，所以我就去申请出国去念博士。那当然，他的推荐信就让我进了很好的系。So, with a teacher like this, that's my training for my life. 有这样的老师，我这一生都有。
The Stolen Year, after the movie, The Stolen Years, 被偷走的5年. You understand why I say that? Everyone that graduated from FLLD in Shanghai before 1995 had Mr. Schiffer as their teacher of English literature, but not for me, not my class. 1974, that was the year when he was on sabbatical back to England. And that was the year stolen from us. We were at a loss when people talk about Mr. Schiffer, a good, inspiring teacher with slightly nasalized British accent. When he read poems, we were captivated. We benefited from none of the above. When he did come back, we were told that our graduation trip had to be cancelled. It's all because of Mr. Schiffer. Many years ago, when I was elected to be the chair of the English department, and now with the National Zhengji University, one of my classmates congratulated me and said, "Oh, now you are Mr. Chairman and Mr. Schiffer." That was how he was remembered, an icon of foreign land and lit. But the stolen year all paid back double in Hanzawa Naoki's style. You must know, 半折直树, but it's in a good sense. 3 of my classmates worked with him in a faculty-student musical performance, Fiddler on the Roof, that rocked the whole campus in Taiwan. I worked in the department as a graduate assistant for 2 years when I was able to observe him in close contact. At that age, when there were no terms for environmental friendly or recycled paper, we call it scratch paper, he was already the spokesman for it. On every used paper, he scribbled test items, recommendation letters, memos, etc. When proficiency tests or achievement tests were unheard of at that time, he was leading young French language instructors in heated discussion, brainstorming, only to be better equipped students with the use of English he loved. He was all present in every activity LLD had to offer. He lived up to his name. He was really a good shepherd of the department. Every time I smell the fragrance of freshly cut grass, I remember walking down the road by the Ruth Chapel with him. Ah, it is the smell of English countryside, he said. The year 1995, he retired to go back to England. I had the honor to help organize a farewell party for him in Taipei. He read the poem Peace, you just heard, written for his students before he retired. That was the first time I heard him recite in a sort of classroom situation. If I had had him as my lit teacher, I might have become a lit teacher instead of a linguist. No offense to Wei Lao Shi. I also wrote something for that occasion. I recited it, and apparently he liked it, I think, and because he asked me for a copy. I do not quite remember what I wrote there, but I think because I didn't keep a copy. So in memory of him, I reconstructed what I wrote almost 19 years ago and add a stanza to it just to complete my tribute to him. It was 1995. He had served Donghai for 37 years then. So it goes. 37 years ago, a foreigner traveled to a foreign land that spoke a foreign tongue, teaching in a department of foreign language and lit, exciting, exploring, far from the land he loved. 37 years later, he set his journey back to where he was from, foreign no more to his second home. As we gather to celebrate Bon Voyage, and we bid him Godspeed. And this is the last stanza I just add. 19 years since then, as he set his journey again, yet to another land, to join his beloved once more, to be accepted in God's hands. We wish you peace all the way. Godspeed all the same. Thank you.
I'm going to read from prepared notes. I hope you don't mind. My wife and I arrived here at Donghai in 1984, which a lot of people would refer to as the early years of the department. During that time, we got to know Mr. Shepard quite well in his capacity as the head of the department. What would I say about him? Well, first of all, he was a man who had an eye for the humanity in people. The teachers who were teaching in the department then never really felt that they were just employees coming in each day to put in their hours. He fostered actually an atmosphere of community, or should I say family, in the department. You would see teachers often standing around, talking in the department with each other about their classes or all kinds of topics, their experiences, so forth. And I think, as some people have already mentioned, this close-knit feeling was strengthened even more by the afternoon teas that we had at his house on Fridays. Mr. Shepherd was also a very intelligent man. In his conversations with us, he would often challenge commonly accepted ideas. He wasn't argumentative. On the contrary, he was very friendly and approachable. He simply wanted us to question our own way of thinking. His intelligence and confidence can also be seen in his capacity as chair of the department. The proof is in the students who went through the program he set up. Not long ago, my wife and I had the chance to eat together with some former students from about 25 years ago at lunch. They still express themselves very, very well in English and continue to have a great love for the English language. Lastly, Mr. Shepherd was an upright Christian man who attended church every Sunday here on campus. He did not only have a faith in God, but also lived according to his faith. He treated everyone kindly, but he was not afraid to set someone straight who was not acting in a moral manner. He was a man you could trust, a man who kept his word. He was a man also who trusted others. In the summer, when I was hired, he returned to England, entrusting the task of hiring to Lynn Salisbury. She was the one from whom I received the invitation to come and join the faculty of the FLD. My wife and I will always have fond memories of Mr. Shepherd. Our hope is that in this time of grief, his family will receive solace knowing that he touched many lives, and that part of himself that he gave to others will keep his memory alive. Thank you.
Well, first I have to say, Steno Kong, Chair Kong, told me that I can just get up here and chat for 2 minutes, then I can get off. I didn't realize that everyone has like a marvelous prepared speech, but I don't. Okay. I'll just talk about a couple of things. Okay. You probably couldn't believe that I didn't reply to Nicola, the family's letters, until 2 days ago, and until Monday. No, I didn't send any condolence because to me it was just too impossible. To me, Ivor is Ivor. You know, to me, Ivor is forever. Okay, shall be forever. And I can't take the fact that I was. I'm sorry to hear about da 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 da. I just couldn't do it. But on Monday, I thought that because the funeral is coming up, so I needed to say something. And only then I kind of brought myself to face the fact. Okay, Ivor was a big part of my life. Okay. When I came here, I was only 27 years old. I was 50 kilos. Okay. Things have changed. And he was probably 48. Okay. And I was 27, and I didn't have any teaching experience at all. And I don't know why. He had faith in me, and I think he had pretty good eyes, right? Okay. And he just immediately gave me very heavy courses, like a survey of Western literature. And I never had any teaching experience. So he is my mentor. He shared with me his lecture notes. Okay. Even now, I still have like his introduction to Western literature in his very strange kind of handwriting, right? I think he doesn't type, right? Yeah, he doesn't type. So I still keep at least like 20 of his poetry exercises in his handwriting. I still have that. Okay. And in fact, some of them I still use. And especially that, there's a one-page introduction to Western literature. I even my latest paper presented at the Asian University. Of course, with the proper documentation, okay, and no plagiarism, okay. And I thanked Ivor for his ideas. So, career-wise, he was my big, my mentor. He was like we had a lot of meetings together, just like everyone else that had mentioned. He had a lot of great ideas, very inspiring. He was a great conversationalist. And just now James mentioned that he also enjoyed dancing. Yeah, I know already, we know already, he can write, he can sing, and he can write. He could also dance. And I remember his 50th birthday, the Student Association gave him a birthday party, and that was at the Minqian Tang across the post office. And it was different then. There were no seats then, just a big hall, a really a big hall there. And he started the dance, Kai Wu, with a student, Joanne Xu Chuantong. I still remember. I was so impressed. He was 50, okay, so in fact, I was probably 29 or something. Okay, and I didn't know how to dance. And he was waltzing with Joanne Xu, and I was so impressed with his gracefulness, his gentlemanly manners. And now I can waltz too, okay? Because I want to be that okay. So other than this, yeah, he also had vision even then. Because I remember long ago, like in the 90s or something, we were already talking about having a radio program in British literature. But it didn't go out, carry out. But we had a committee of 10. We call it a committee of 10 because what? I mean, in the 1980s there was a 4人帮, right? There was the committee, the 4人帮, the gang, Jiang Qin, those people, right? So we called our committee members like a committee of 10. It was very relaxed in this time. There was no pressure from anyone. Okay. We could have our ideas and we exchange things, and it was very pleasant, very loving to be around him and John. Another thing which affected me, I think, is how to live the life. So, well, my most, the greatest memory was we took a trip to Kunming together, okay, during one spring break. And his family, like he and John and my family, we just went down to Kunming, stayed at Yakutia. That was his favorite. Okay? We just stayed there for 5-6 days, okay, doing nothing. Instead like the Japanese, okay, was just I'm here. We would just stay there, and every morning we would come downstairs, and then we just had the coffee and the toast and the bread and read newspaper, hanging out, and then in the afternoons we would just go to the beach, just a relaxing, lovely 5-6 days, just on one spot, just at Yakutia, on the street, on the beach. And I think this, I'm guessing, I'm not thinking back, because now this is the way I travel too. I don't run around. I usually just hit one place and just enjoy the place. And another thing I like to talk about is, if you turn right around the corner of the president's residence and go down toward teachers, faculties, activity center, 教职员休闲中心. On your right, you will see a number 16 on a big tree, and that was his house. You know, just now we were talking about high tea, and just too bad everyone already talked about high tea, so I missed that. But I love to point out the fact that the number 16 is still there. Just think of the thoughtfulness. He didn't want any one of us to get lost. He wanted us to find his house. So I think he probably used paint or something, because I think the 16 was still there. So we would go to his place, and like we had a high tea, and it was like a very nice bonding time with all sandwiches and things like that. And there would be a jar too, for you to throw in some coins if you have some 良心 or honesty, you would. And then they didn't care, yeah. Anyway, just very friendly. Another thing I remember was at the upper right corner of their front entrance, there was a wooden tablet on which it said, "A home without cats is not a home, it's just a house." You know, they love cats. At one point, I remember they had 16 cats. Okay, some outdoors, some indoors. Okay, and we adopted one of their cats named Ulysses because this Uli had been traveling around on campus and was adopted by Ivor for a while. And the Uli stayed with us for 17 years. And so Ivor was the godfather of our Uli. So, yeah. So I'll just sum up here, since I wasn't really prepared, okay? I'll always remember Ivor as a man of taste and style. He has his taste and his style, okay? And I think he is the embodiment of Donghai LLC. Okay, thank you.
I entered Donghai as an English major in 1971. Mr. Shepherd was chair. I think it was his second year as chair, if my memory is correct. Mr. Shepherd was the person outside of my family that had the greatest influence on me. First, he taught me how to study and appreciate Western literature. I learned the skills from his classes, Introduction to Western Literature and Poetry. Many years later, I can still remember how he read poems in his unique musical voice. Second, under Mr. Shepherd's influence, I found my interest in acting. I did not know I liked acting until I became an English major at Donghai. I'm a teacher at Donghai now, and I've been using the acting skills to entertain and teach my students. Maybe many of you don't know or have forgotten that there was a faculty play in 1988. That play was very special because it was written by a faculty member of the department and directed by another faculty teacher in the department. And Mr. Shepherd was the main character. The other actors were the other teachers in the department, including Dr. Sims, James Sims, Amy Yo, and me. And another thing special about the play was that we did not have to say any lines. Though Mr. Shepherd was the main character, he did not have to memorize any lines. I can tell you a little